Hello, everyone, and many thanks for joining this stream. Morning news from Moscow. Today is 26th of May. Now it's 11 o'clock, and I have prepared quite a number of important news on some major developments. And I hope you find this program informative and useful. Of course, many thanks to all the members of our community who will join later on or will watch this video after the stream ends. And so without further delay, let's go through some news. And well, there is quite a stuff is that are happening, dear friends. Probably you already know about statements that US President Donald Trump made in regards to Russian president. He was extremely insulting to all Russian citizens, not just to Russian president. And well, I will go through this topic in details now. So RT is reporting that Trump claims that Putin has gone absolutely crazy for no reason. So US President Donald Trump has claimed that Moscow targeted Ukraine for no reason whatsoever after Russia launched a series of missile strikes against military targets in Kiev and other locations following a week of constant Ukrainian drone raids involving hundreds of drones, thousands actually, by the way. And you know what? Let's read his statement. He posted, by the way, he gave the interview to some media outlets, and he also wrote on his True Social network. Let's just read it, and you tell me how insane this person really is. I mean, if anybody is insane, then I guess this is a Trump. I was too naive, I guess, because I had some hopes that maybe Trump and his administration will use off-ramp that Russia created basically for US to just exit this proxy war against Russia. And I was mistaken, by the way. Unfortunately, I was just too naive, I guess. Although my initial instinct was correct, if you remember, dear friends, some time ago, when first contacts began between Trump's administration and the Russian side, I was saying straight away that this is meaningless stuff. You cannot trust these people in U.S. administration, and that initial instinct was correct. But then, after all, we all want to see the escalation, isn't it? And probably that human moment prevailed there in myself, and I become a little more optimistic, but I was wrong. I have to admit that. And Trump actually proved that I was wrong while making this statement. Let's read it. This is a quote from his statement. You can see it on your screen, dear friends. So I've always had a very good relationships with Vladimir Putin of Russia, but something has happened to him. He has gone absolutely crazy. He is needlessly killing a lot of people, and I'm not just talking about soldiers. Missiles and drones are being shot into cities in Ukraine for no reason whatsoever. I always said that he wants all of Ukraine, not just a piece of it, and maybe that's proving to be right. But if he does, it will lead to downfall of Russia, Trump is saying. And then he went to talk about freaking Zelensky. I don't really care about what Trump has to say whatsoever after today, by the way, right? Especially about Zelensky, who is clearly nobody, just a freaking whore of the globalists, right? So why should I spend time on that? So you tell me, dear friends, what you are making from this absolutely insane, insulting statement of Trump. He is basically, while saying that Russia is targeting, military and logistical infrastructure. That's what Russia targets, right? Military and logistical infrastructure on Kiev regime's territory, Kiev-controlled territory. Trump is saying that this is happening for no reason whatsoever. He did not mention thousands of drones that were targeting Russian cities in last number of days, including Moscow, by the way. He did not mention the recent attempt of globalists and their puppet regimes, including Kiev regime, to assassinate Putin when his helicopter ended up being in epicenter of drone strikes. He said nothing. And while saying that, while mentioning that Russia is targeting these sites in Kiev-controlled territory for no reason, he basically ignores or devaluates lives of Russian citizens, right? That were killed and injured as a result of strikes, terrorist attacks of Kiev regime. You tell me how insulting is that for people here in Russia? When US president basically devaluates life of Russian people completely. This is crazy, man. This is absolutely crazy. And then he went to insult Putin directly, saying that he's gone absolutely crazy. I mean, these statements definitely not gonna fly, by the way. And Trump, while making such statements, basically killed off last opportunity, in my personal opinion, for US to walk away from this proxy war while saving the face. No such a chance will be given from now on. So Trump basically killed the future of US. I can tell you that. And US is going down together with Europe. Mark my words, by the way. That's what is going to happen. So let's now go back to some other news. And for example, very same Trump basically is working now, considers new sanctions against Russia. Things like neocons, absolutely establish their control over the White House. If before now we had some doubts that maybe some adequate people in Trump's administration will prevail, now there can be no doubts that neocons establish full control over the White House. And therefore, soon we should expect new waves of US sanctions against Russia, also US secondary sanctions against countries that are cooperating with Russia. And very soon, maybe in upcoming days, upcoming weeks, most likely, Trump will address Congress for funds to allocate more weapons for Kiev regime. So large-scale escalation is coming, by the way. And as I said, US is going down. US will never have a chance again to walk away from this proxy war with, while saving the face. Trump blew it up. They had such opportunity. Putin created the off-ramp for that, but Trump and the US neocons blew it up. So whatever is going to happen from now on, by the way, responsibility is on US leadership, on Trump, his administration, neocons, and everyone else that is involved. And also, this reporter, I did spoke about this particular news yesterday during the community chat live stream, but I think it's worth mentioning once again that Europe plans to buy weapons from US to provide their proxy in Kiev. So European countries are considering purchasing large quantities of weapons from the United States to continue supporting Kiev as their own stockpiles are depleted and production is limited, Bloomberg reports. And of course, White House, there can be no doubts after what Trump just stated about Russia, Russian people, lives of the Russian people, and also Russian president. I mean, there can be no doubts that, of course, White House will authorize whatever weapons Europeans will purchase. And in addition to that, as I already said, in upcoming days, most likely, White House will ask Congress to allocate another, additional billions, potentially tens of billions of dollars to provide the regime with more weapons directly from US and financed by US taxpayers, not just Europeans, but Europeans most likely will receive whatever weapons they will request for Kiev regime as long as they pay. Also, and this whole stuff is happening, by the way, while Kiev regime continues with the assistance of NATO member states, of course, to launch these waves of drone attacks deep into Russian territory. And TASS news agency is reporting that during the last night, early hours of this morning, air defense systems on duty intercepted 96 Ukrainian drones over their number of regions. I can give you some more specific information on that. So 31 drones from these 96 were intercepted over the Bryansk region, 16 drones over the Belgorod region, 11 drones over the Kursk region, 9 drones over Tula region, 8 drones over Oriol region, 6 drones over Moscow region. As I said, Moscow is constantly targeted, by the way. This morning, there was reports that number of airports around Moscow introduced some emergency measures for safety reasons, for security reasons, due to yet another drone strike from Kiev regime in direction of Moscow. 5 drones were intercepted also over the Kaluga region, 4 drones over the Ivanovo region, 2 drones over the Ryazan region, 2 over Vladimir region, 1 over Yaroslavl, and 1 over the Republic of Tatarstan. So, I mean, while this is happening, Trump is saying that Russia is conducting these long-range, precise strikes on military and logistical infrastructure of the Kiev regime for no reason. I mean, how insulting is that? I don't know. And I think there will be no more talks, by the way, between Putin and Trump, phone conversations, and definitely there are going to be no face-to-face meeting between these two, by the way, because Trump does not deserve any respect from anybody whatsoever. He is a whore of the neocons, whore of the globalists, and that's it. And I am ashamed that, I had at some point, I was that naive that I was really thinking that maybe there is a chance for the escalation. Maybe Trump, his administration are serious about de-escalating with Russia, but they are not, by the way. And my apologies for being that naive. And now, by the way, after Trump's statements, I think maybe he was also briefed on the topic of assassination of Russian president. Yesterday, during live stream community chat, I shared information that Putin's helicopter was caught in a Ukrainian drone swarm while he was visiting Kursk region just a couple of days ago. And of course, by the way, there is only a few countries in this world that have enough satellite intelligence to track movement of aircraft, helicopters included, that are serving Russian president in real time, right? First of all, US, by the way. US has such capabilities to constantly monitor movements of their whatever aircrafts Russian president is using. And as we all know, dear friends, UK is a part of this Five Eye conglomerate of intelligence services, and US shares basically in real time intelligence with these Five Eyes countries, among them obviously UK. And yesterday, while commenting on this news, I said that most likely this attack on Russian president, this attempt to assassinate Russian president, was authorized by Prime Minister of UK, Keir Starmer. But now when Trump made these crazy statements, these absolutely insulting statements to Russian people, to Russia, to Russian president, I think potentially Trump was also briefed on this matter. And he and Keir Starmer, they both authorized this attack. And this is an act of war, by the way. If this is not an act of war, then I don't know what other designation you can give to such a hostile action. Let's go through details here. The helicopter carrying Russian President Vladimir Putin was caught in the epicenter of massive Ukrainian drone attack while the president was visiting Kursk region earlier last week. Yuri Dashkin, a commander of an air defense division, has revealed Putin traveled to Russia's Kursk region on Tuesday for the first time since it was fully liberated from invading Ukrainian forces and the NATO mercenaries in the Kursk salient area. During this trip, the president met with the governor of the region, Alexander Hinstein, as well as their heads of local municipalities and volunteers who have been helping those affected by the now repulsed Ukrainian incursion, according to Kremlin. In an interview with the Channel 1 TV station, or with the interview, during the interview with the Channel Russia 1 station aired on Sunday, Dashkin, this commander of the Air Defense Division, revealed that Putin's helicopter had found itself in the epicenter of operation to repel a massive drone attack by their enemy in the Kursk region. Kiev launched an unprecedented drone assault on the region when their president was there, with Russian air defense destroyed 46 incoming fixed-wing drones, according to Dashkin. And we have quote here, I would like to stress that the fact that the intensity of the attack during the flight of their Supreme Commander-in-Chief aircraft over the territory of Kursk region increased significantly, he said. The air defense units in the area had to simultaneously conduct anti-aircraft combat and ensure the safety of the president's helicopter in the air. The task was accomplished. The attack of the enemy drones were repelled, with all aerial targets being neutralized, Dashkin stated. So clearly, dear friends, this is an attempt to assassinate Russian president. There is no other explanation for sure can be given. And once again, Kiev regime has no intelligence capabilities, has no satellite intelligence capabilities to track movement of aircrafts that are used by Russian president or any other high-ranking officials, by the way. But unfortunately, US has such a capabilities, such a orbital grouping of satellites, and US and the European states too, by the way, few European states. But of course, main force is US in the collective West countries, and as I already mentioned, US is sharing basically in real-time intelligence with this Five Eyes group, among them UK. And I think Kiev regime and US and British militaries and intelligence assets on Kiev-controlled territory was given order from Washington and London to carry out attempt to this operation to assassinate Russian president. And their targeting data for these drones were obviously provided from US and UK. Me personally, I have no doubts about that, and I really hope Russian security services will elaborate on this matter and will provide public with more information and will say it openly who was behind this attempt to assassinate Russian president. And I'm quite sure Russian intelligence has all the necessary information on that. So big escalation, by the way, big escalation. And I think even though I was mistaken when I had this little hope that Trump's administration is serious about the escalation, or America First group in US is serious about the escalating with Russia. Okay, I made mistake. They are not serious about it, sir. But at least I was correct when I say that before we see through the escalation, unfortunately, we will observe next phase of escalation, maybe even next several phases of escalation, and only after that, Western ruling class, collective West, globalists, and whoever is running the show in the West will finally come to their senses and finally admit and face the reality that they have lost this proxy war against Russia. And after that, we will probably see the escalation. But this day is not even on the horizon now. And I think Russia at this point really has no option but to continue special military operation until borders of the Western Ukraine are reached. And then once Russian troops will be on the border with the Western Ukraine, Moscow can offer to Warsaw, Budapest, and Bucharest, or Poland, Hungary, and Romania to claim parts of Western Ukraine that used to be, belong to these countries. Otherwise, Moscow will continue and only stop on the borders with these countries. That's how situation gonna continue. And the former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, I believe yesterday or day before, even said that buffer zone that Russia is creating might actually stop on the borders of Western Ukraine. So something to keep in mind there. And dear friends, before I continue, let me notice that this project, this independent media project, is completely subscriber funded. And if you appreciate my work, if you think I'm useful for community, my work is useful for community, please consider to support this project. Please consider to help me to save this project, basically. And you can assist through several ways. You can donate to project through PayPal platform. You can also donate to project through cryptocurrency, for example, or Boosty platform that you see right now on your screen. It's a quite easy platform to use, by the way, but unfortunately, members of our community find it difficult to operate here. You can use your existing account on Google or YouTube and just log in, and then either donate or send a tip. I mean, it's easy, but anyways, this is optional. So you can also subscribe to my page here, by the way, where I have a lot of extra content. You can choose your level of support, monthly support, from 500 rubles. It shows me rubles because I opened this page in Russia, but if you open this page in, I don't know, in India, it will show you rupees, I guess, equivalent in rupees, in other countries in local currency, basically. And you can choose your level of support and subscribe to page. Also, you can subscribe to my Patreon page. If you find Boosty too difficult to operate with, then you can, if you want to support, or you can subscribe to my page on Patreon, by the way. And also you can support, you can choose your level of support and just, make decision on that. Or if you don't want to subscribe, you can even purchase each video that I have published on Patreon. It's easy to navigate there too, by the way. What else do I have for support? That's I guess it. So all the links to PayPal, Boosty, Patreon is under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And during the streams, you can also become premium subscriber on Rumble. That will be support also, of course. Or you can send donation straight during the stream on Rumble, by the way, with super chat. Okay, that's being said, dear friends. I mean, hopefully, community will continue to help to maintain this project, and I'll be able to be focused full time on these news programs. And many thanks, of course, to everybody who already helped and continues to support. Truly grateful. Thank you. And continue, dear friends, let me give you this news that according to TASS News Agency, Russian Defense Ministry confirmed liberation of Atradne settlement in the DPR, and also Russian Defense Ministry confirmed liberation of Romanovka settlement also in the DPR. So progress of the special military operation continues. And by the way, I have more news because more settlements have been liberated. Defense Ministry probably will, inform us about it, maybe late today or tomorrow. And for example, Russian troops liberated their settlement of Vladimirovka in the Sumy region, and also settlement of Belovody in the Sumy region. So creation of the buffer zone continues. And if you take a look, by the way, quite significant areas already being cleared from terrorist forces of the Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky. And this is not all. In the DPR direction, Russian troops basically cut off Kiev regime's forces on the eastern flank of Patrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration. And reports are coming in that Russian troops established control over the Zarya settlement, at least partial control. Russian troops also, as I already mentioned, liberated Romanovka settlement. Russian troops established control over the Staraya Nikolaevka settlement and Gnatovka settlement. So Kiev regime's defense lines in this pocket had collapsed completely. And probably later on, Defense Ministry will provide us information about these developments. Significant, but still expected, obviously, progress of the Russian armed forces in this direction. And last night, Kiev regime was obviously launching, as I already mentioned, about 100 drones, dozens of drones to strike deep into Russian territory, and Russia was retaliating with their drone and missile strikes. And I did share this morning on my Telegram and Twitter X page information about that in a number of directions, Russian armed forces neutralized military and logistical infrastructure of the Kiev regime, including Odessa region, Kiev region, Dnipropetrovsk region, Kharkov region, and also strikes were conducted on military airfields of the Kiev regime in the western parts of Ukraine. Starokonstantinov airfield, for example, was targeted among other military targets. Let's continue with the more news. And according to TASS news agency's report, military expert Andrei Marochko stated that Kiev regime lost about 4,400 troops last week during the battles in LPR border area. As you know, dear friends, LPR, Lugansk People's Republic, is almost completely liberated from terrorist regime of Zelensky. Just small pockets of resistance are remaining there. Although there are heavy battles, Kiev regime is sending more and more troops to maintain their presence in LPR and on the borderline areas there. And due to heavy fighting, just in this direction, last week Kiev regime lost more than 4,400 troops, which is a quite significant number, significant losses. Also, Russian armed forces destroyed their 10 tanks of Kiev regime in this direction and over 200 different combat vehicles. Also 61 field artillery pieces. So Kiev regime is losing and losing big time on all along the front line, and Lugansk People's Republic is no exception. And I think this information also worth our attention, that Russia and Ukraine complete major prisoner exchange on the 1,000 for 1,000 formula. Yesterday, third round of POW exchange took place, and Russia has returned 303 Russian servicemen from their territory controlled by the Kiev regime. Overall, more about 800 Russian military prisoners, Russian militaries were freed basically from captivity in Kiev-controlled territory, and about 200 civilians. So this prisoner exchange, POW exchange, that was agreed during the first round of direct talks between Moscow and Kiev that took place recently in Istanbul is completed now. And reports are that sides are actively working to present in upcoming days a detailed plan about peace, how peace can be achieved, and ceasefire. Although due to escalatory steps that being taken by Washington, due to extreme statements from U.S. President Donald Trump, I would not be surprised, and no one should, if if this second round of negotiations between Moscow and Kiev will not go ahead. It's clearly a possibility because, as I said many times before, globalists and their allies, neocons in US, Zionists, and so on, they are not interested in peace. They are interested in prolongation of this proxy war against Russia. But meanwhile, at least formally, work is still ongoing to organize this second round, and Istanbul is the most likely venue for the second round of direct negotiations, according to sources of TASS News agency. Earlier, there was some report that maybe Vatican will host this second round, but Russian foreign minister stated that this is not happening. Most likely, Vatican would not be the place where the second round will take place. And the source of TASS News agency also said the same. So maybe if second round will even take place, it will be Istanbul again. And I guess Turkish government is trying hard to make sure that Turkey will stay. Turkey will continue to play significant role in this talks, in attempts to de-escalate. And for example, Foreign Minister of Turkey is in Moscow today. Either he already came or he will fly to Moscow today. And we have this report that he hopes to meet with the Russian president and also head of Russian delegation, Medinsky, and also Narishkin. Let's go through some details. So Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan expects to hold meetings with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, presidential aide Vladimir Medinsky, and the head of Foreign Intelligence Service Sergei Narishkin during their first day of their trip to Moscow. Source in Turkish Foreign Ministry told TASS News agency. During his, and we have quote from Turkish Foreign Ministry, during his visit to Russian Federation, May 26, which is today, Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan plans to be received by the Russian President Vladimir Putin and hold meetings with their presidential aide Vladimir Medinsky and head of Foreign Intelligence Service Sergei Narishkin. Tomorrow, May 27th, meeting is planned with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Source in Turkish Foreign Ministry stated, and clearly Erdogan, Ankara basically wants to play important part on topic of the escalation of Ukrainian crisis, but yet again, it's not up to Turkey, isn't it? Globalists and their allies, American neocons and the Zionists, they are against peace. They want this proxy war to continue. So therefore, most likely, second round of negotiations between Moscow and Kiev most likely will be derailed. But I mean, it's worth noticing that, Turkey is trying at least to stay in this process. And I'm not sure, by the way, Russian president will receive Turkish foreign minister, although, who knows, maybe this meeting between Russian president and Turkish foreign minister already been pre-planned. So therefore, this meeting might take place. Of course, I will report about it as information comes. RT is also reporting that, drone targeted Russian embassy, by the way, in one of the NATO countries. I think this is important news also, because the level of Russophobia, level of Russia hate in NATO countries is reaching some unprecedented levels, right? And this is really dangerous, literally dangerous for life of Russian citizens in these countries. And let's go through this news, for example, for a little more details. Under an unidentified drone flew over the Russian embassy in the Swedish capital, Stockholm, on Sunday and dropped a container of paint near the main entrance. According to a statement issued by the diplomats, the drone operators used a glass vessel which could have caused serious injuries had it struck anyone. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova urged Sweden to tame its ultras following the incident. Tomorrow, Stockholm will receive a note of protest, or today, that is. This statement is from yesterday. So today, Stockholm will receive a note of protest. Sweden must time its ultras or extremists and take control of the situation and strictly observe the Vienna Convention, Zakharova told us on Sunday. And well, as I said, dear friends, this is not a joke. Maybe in this particular case, these terrorists, Swedish terrorists, drop glass with paint, but I mean, tomorrow they might drop their grenade, right? I mean, where is the security of embassy? Sweden is obligated to secure embassy and the embassy staff, right? It's Swedish obligation. Like it is Russian obligation to secure Swedish embassy and Swedish embassy staff, right? But clearly, extreme Russophobes and the terrorists in the leadership of Sweden don't care. This is not the first instance, by the way. This is not first instance when Russian embassy was attacked. So therefore, I don't think anything will change. And unfortunately, it is highly likely that in Sweden, in other NATO member states, very soon we're going to see not just paint being used against Russian diplomats, Russian diplomatic missions, but weapons too. I'm afraid this is, at this point, trajectory is such of these developments that it seems even inevitable that it's only a matter of time, and these terrorist regimes and terrorist so-called secret services of these NATO countries will begin bombing basically Russian embassies with the drones or other ways, right? Therefore, maybe it is time for Russia to rethink its stance on in diplomatic missions in NATO countries, and maybe it is time to to cut diplomatic ties with these hostile states, just to save Russian citizens, because they are clearly not safe. No Russian citizen, no matter civilian, ordinary civilian, tourist, for example, or representative of state, diplomat, none of them are safe in any NATO member state. Hatred of Russians and the Russophobia is on such levels. So I think probably Russian leadership is even considering to either minimize level of diplomatic missions or even to maybe cut diplomatic ties whatsoever. And me personally, I am in support of cutting diplomatic ties with all NATO member states simultaneously, with all of them, maybe with the exception of Hungary, okay, and Slovakia. Two countries that can be, exception. Rest, we don't need no diplomatic missions there, man. Why we spending money for that, and why Russian citizens are risking their lives, literally risking their lives, while being there in these hostile countries? I don't know. But this is serious stuff, man. This is not a joke. Today they are dropping paint, glass with or some bottles with the paint on embassies. Tomorrow they're gonna start dropping bombs, man. That's the trajectory. RIA Novosti is reporting, meanwhile, that Israel continues to commit war crimes and crimes against humanity in the Gaza Strip, and we have this report now that Israeli militaries acknowledged that they basically bombed their school in Gaza, and at least 25 people were killed, by the way. I shared a heartbreaking video on my Telegram and Twitter X page when small child, by the way, like, I don't know, 5-year-old child or small child is is trying to escape fire from this bombed building. And in that video, I mean, you cannot see did that child manage to escape or not, but unfortunately, many kids were burned alive as a result of this Israeli strike on this school. And you guess what kind of justification Israeli militaries find? They are saying that this school was used by Hamas fighters. I mean, I have no words, man. This fascist state has to be dealt, man. Israel is a fascist state, clearly, and this fascist state has to be dealt harshly by whole world, by the way. This madness cannot continue. These Israeli fascists have to be held accountable. This has to be done, for God's sake. This is shame on humanity. What Israel, this fascist freaking state, is being allowed to do for so long, man. TASS news agency is reporting, meanwhile, that US President Donald Trump made, in his style, he cannot be trusted, obviously. No single word from Donald Trump can be trusted, for sure. And he went to say that there was some good talks with Iran, and there is some progress on nuclear deal. This is all lies, by the way. US is just gaining time and preparing for a full-scale war with Iran. US is a not honest actor in these talks with Iran that are taking place with mediation of Oman, and I think everybody at this point understands that. But let's United States held positive talks with Iran and reached the progress on the issue of the France nuclear program. He's lying, by the way. US President Donald Trump told the journalist on board of his plane traveling from New Jersey to Washington, D.C. According to White House press pool, he had a very good talks about Iran today and yesterday. With whom? He did not speak with the representatives of Iran. So with whom he had good talks? With the Israeli lobby? That's might be their possibility. That can be true, but definitely not with Iran's representatives. The American leader added that the US has achieved a real and serious progress on the issue of nuclear deal with Tehran, US news channel reported. And as I said, by the way, there was no progress in recent talks, fifth round of talks between Iran and the US. Iran's foreign minister stated it openly that, even though Tehran wants progress to be achieved, but right now there is no movement forward because US is demanding from Iran demolition of or dismantlement of facilities where enrichment of uranium is taking place, and their stand is the same today as it was a year ago. In no circumstances they will agree to dismantle their enrichment program and facilities. That's it. So while Iran's position has not changed, and the US is still demanding dismantlement of these centrifuges and this program of enrichment, then what kind of progress Trump is talking about? This is all BS, by the way. This is all nonsense. As I said many times before, US is not honest actor in these talks, and they are just gaining time, playing around, messing around, basically, while preparing for a full-scale war with Iran. And at one point, they will just walk away from these talks, and they will say, that they tried diplomatically, it didn't work, and then that's why they have to go to military option. That's the game plan that Washington has together with their fascist Israel and whatever other terrorist regimes are on the board with this crime. And it is going to be crime, of course, when they will attack Iran, because they have no right to do so. Iran is not threatening US for sure, and why should they get engaged militarily with this country? But at this point, I'm sick and tired of commenting all the crimes that US and their collective West countries has committed, by the way. Meanwhile, Vzglyad newspaper is reporting that Trump delays his 50% tariffs on EU goods. I mean, clown, man. This guy is a clown, right? Today he says one thing, tomorrow another, day after something different completely. Just a few days ago, he said that he's, how he said, he's initiating or thinking to impose 50% tariffs on EU from 1st of June, right? From 1st of June, that was, or July. June 1st, yes. And now he's saying that this tariff is going to be delayed because he had some good talk with Ursula washing machine, right? Head of European Commission. I mean, clowns are clowns, man. That's what it is. Only difference between Trump and a number of other clowns is that Trump is not funny, really. Other clowns, some of them at least, are funny. This one is a complete moron, man. And the embarrassment for US, that's what it is. United States, or people of US, by the way, because US itself, state, is a terrorist state sponsor of terrorism. We all know this. And it is what it is, man. United States has agreed to postpone the introduction of 50% duties on goods from the EU until July 9th. US President Donald Trump announced. Trump reported on their social network Truth Social that he received a call from the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, who asked for an extension of the June 1 deadline. And we have a quote from Trump: "I have agreed to an extension until July 9, 2025, the US president said, according to Trump. Von der Leyen assured him that negotiations will begin quickly." Okay. Just to demonstrate, by the way, that these people, nothing that comes out from these people can be taken seriously, man. Today they can say one thing, tomorrow another, day after something completely different, and that they can do this literally on daily basis, right? These freaking clowns, man, bloody clowns, unfortunately. And I'm gonna end, by the way, this news segment of this live stream on this news that Russia enters top 3 economies in trade income. So Russia became the 3rd in the world in terms of trade surplus last year, while China still receives the largest net income from trade, according to RIA Novosti's analysis of data from National Statistics Services. The agency examined trade data from 91 major countries that had already published figures for last year. Of these, only 33 countries posted a trade surplus of combined 2.3 trillion, while 58 economies posted a negative trade surplus of 2.8 trillion combined. So China was the biggest gainer from trade last year, with a trade surplus of 991 billion US dollars, which is quite a huge number, by the way, almost $1 trillion. Almost $1 trillion is a surplus of Chinese trade. I mean, that's achievement, by the way, for sure. Germany, surprisingly because the industrialization of Germany is absolutely unstoppable, and eventually Germany gonna lose its place as a #1 European economy, for sure. But still, as an inertia, by the way, Germany's economy still has some capabilities, and they are on the 2nd place, as it had the year before, with the trade income of $258 billion. Okay, impressive, I will say, impressive, especially if you take in account where Germany's economy is, right? And to which direction that economy is heading. Russia rounds out the top 3 with the trade surplus of $151 billion US dollars, and moving up for place. Their top 5 also includes Ireland which fell from the third to fifth place with a surplus of 98 billion. Well, Ireland is doing quite okay. And the Netherlands are on also in top 5, which posted a surplus of 89 billion US dollars. I guess these numbers were probably significantly higher some 3 to 5 years ago, but well, it is what it is right now. Top 10 countries, I can give you another 5 countries, by the way. So top 10 countries that earn the most from the trade also include Switzerland, 77 billion US dollars surplus in trade, Saudi Arabia 73 billion surplus, Norway 69 billion surplus, Brazil 59 billion, and Italy 55. Brazil is 59 and Italy is 55 billion in surplus. So interesting statistics, by the way. I guess give it another 10-15 years and none of these European countries will be in top 10. Just give it 10 years, by the way, mark my word. But for now, it is what it is. And I'm gonna end the news segment on that. So there was no question on through Patreon or Boosty platforms or any of the support channels, PayPal or Boosty. No questions or the comments that I can highlight after the news segment during the stream. But right now, during the stream, Blorp donated on Rumble with a super chat and commented, I like it better when you are not fighting. I like it better when you are not fighting. Thank you, Blorp, for your comment. I guess. Huh? Well, sorry. Can you? I misread it, dear friends. Sorry. I like it better when we are not fighting. Okay. I can. Thank you very much, first of all, Lord, for your donation and for your comment. And well, I like it too, by the way, when there is a peace between the countries, isn't it? When none of our countries are engaged in hostilities. But well, I mean, it's we that been attacked, by the way, by globalists, by collective West, isn't it? Since the collapse of Soviet Union, I mean, year after year after year after year, collective West is pushing on Russia, and eventually they even provoked, full-scale proxy war against us, right? Proxy war that may actually turn into a direct war. There is such a danger too, isn't it? So it's unfortunate, but I mean, what we can do, really, when these elites that are running the show in the West are not stopping, really. I mean, it is what it is. Thank you again for donation. And this is it, dear friends, for this live stream. Hopefully you find it informative, interesting, useful. After stream, I will make few short clips. By the way, I will publish these short clips too. And well, if you come across those videos, please click that like button there too, and don't forget to click that like button here during the stream, by the way, and leave some commentary in the comment section. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a wonderful day and take care. Bye for now.